Auch von mir willkommen zurück zum BizOps Forum. Ja, wir hatten gerade eine spannende Präsentation von Stefan Gruber von T-Systems, wie er mit effizientem Service-Level-Monitoring hier Vorteile für sein Projekt und auch die Kunden und Nutzer von Galileo geschaffen hat. Diesen Vortrag mussten wir aufzeichnen, weil Herr Gruber heute Vormittag leider nicht verfügbar war. Wenn Sie Fragen zu diesem Projekt haben, ist aber der Joachim Brenneisen, unser Projektleiter seitens Amazon am Forum, und der hat heute Nachmittag auch noch einen Workshop zum Thema Service Level Management. Da erwischen Sie ihn auf jeden Fall und können gerne noch Ihre Fragen zum Thema Service Level Management loswerden. Okay. Now we'll switch to English. I'm welcoming Simon and Jared from the UK this morning. So thanks for joining us here on the BizOps forum. Simon is leading the IT of Ted Baker, a large retail organization, and together with Jared, he will take us on the journey how Ted Baker created BizOps value by fully integrating their infrastructure tools and achieving full visibility of their infrastructure. So Simon, Jared, good morning and welcome. So take it away.
Good morning. Thanks for the intro. Morning guys. I've got the pleasure today to go through a Q&A and an overview together with Simon to give you guys an idea of how Ted Baker works together with LogicMonitor to essentially celebrate their BizOps through integrated end-to-end infrastructure monitoring. So like Stefan said, my name is Jared Oswald. I look after our channels and alliances for the German-speaking region at LogicMonitor. My main focus is helping our customers and partners transition to modern hybrid infrastructure monitoring services. And really there, it's around enabling customers to use proactive and strategic monitoring to improve all areas of their day-to-day business. And Simon, do you want to say a few words to yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Simon Brealy. I'm the head of IT for Ted Baker. So I look after around about a team of 40 globally, and I'm responsible for all BAU systems in Ted Baker, from our WMS systems, ERPs, through to front-end customer-facing systems and user-based systems. So with as one would imagine, over the past 18 months, a very serious focus on e-commerce revenue and generation.
I can only imagine. So look, let's jump straight into it. So first of all, I want to cover a little bit of a background. So I guess my first question, Simon, is I'm sure a lot of people in the audience today already know Ted Baker, have seen Ted Baker, and probably hopefully own some Ted Baker pieces as well. But maybe you can give us a little bit more of a background of how Ted Baker is run from a business perspective, especially during this transition of home working and COVID-19 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the screen, you'll see on the presentation, but basically Ted Baker is a global fashion brand where we own the end-to-end of our fashion business. So we design, develop, distribute all of our own products. We were established about 30 odd years ago with a single store in the previous CEO's kitchen, or mum's kitchen, and now we operate in excess of 350 sites. Revenues, as pre-COVID revenues, were in excess of 800 million, with very consistent growth for that 30-year period. Obviously, the current climate has changed that landscape quite dramatically in terms of where our revenues come from, and what our growth strategy and what our overall business strategy is going to be. One of the things about Ted Baker is he's not a real person, it's a persona that we try to live up to with the brand, which is he's always trying to surprise and delight customers, which I think the vast majority of employees at Ted Baker take to heart, and it's something that we use LogicMonitor as a tool to support us in doing, and that's through ensuring systems uptimes, ensuring deliveries are ahead of schedule, ensuring that we're yeah, we're delivering the service levels that we want to promise to our customers.
Brilliant. And so let's delve probably a little bit deeper into the actual situation afoot there as well. So what does your actual IT landscape look like today at Ted Baker? And I know it's probably changed quite dramatically, I'd imagine, over the last 12 to 18 months. But it'd be great if you could give our audience a little bit of insight into what that landscape looks like today, and how LogicMonitor is helping you monitor each of those different devices.
Yeah, I think like most organisations, we're in the midst of that change. That the recent events have sparked a chain of changes within the organisation that are likely to take the next couple of years for us to realise in their entirety. But at our core, we are a Microsoft-centric organisation with a backbone of Dynamics AX 2012. Our key infrastructure is it's a very standard set. We're not unusual in the deployments that we use. We use VMs, Fortinet, Cisco, Firepower, that sort of side of things, with partnerships with Microsoft and EMC storage. The key part for our business and what we operate on is Office 365, Teams, as you would imagine, alongside the Dynamics AX, our Dynamics point of sale, and our ERP, alongside using Zendesk ITSM ticketing system. We are multi-tenant from a cloud perspective, so we do use Azure and AWS for different purposes, and those are naturally in growth phases at the moment, and there are quite large implementations on the horizon, which we're plugging these tools into on a very regular basis.
Yeah, and I guess another being a vendor agnostic monitoring solution, I'm assuming that was a really important factor as well in your decision, because you've got quite a mixed infrastructure across on-premise and cloud. LogicMonitor being able to monitor all of those different areas.
Lives within my IT career, I've had the misfortune of having to operate numerous monitoring platforms to be able to provide a view to the business. Whereas now we have a very consolidated view of our infrastructure, and as you'll see later on, we actually use it for some quite key business metrics as well, which are from a commercial point of view. So it's kind of gone beyond that scope with what we do at Ted Baker as well.
Amazing. Let's delve a little bit deeper into how you guys actually and how you use this on a day-to-day basis, and how you actually utilize LogicMonitor across the organization, and how we actually support business operations with this solution.
Yeah, so we're going to start with logistics, obviously. So as a global organization that owns we partner with third-party logistics, but we own the operation, if that makes sense. So the customer engagement, how that's going to work, and we have to track all of our orders in multiple distribution centers globally. And the way that we do that is we utilize LogicMonitor to track shipments out, orders in, payment processing, and that side of things, and also if there are any errors, and we have alerting around error management. So one of the key things for us is we have delivery SLAs, which are if a customer's bought next day shipping. If that order has a problem, or there's an unusual address which has caused an issue in the system, we need to be notified of that. That needs to be flagged up, and the way that we manage that at the moment is we have an error folder, and once something goes into the error folder, it comes up on a dashboard and for the logistics team, so they know they need to go in there quickly, resolve it, and get it out within SLA. So it's helping us ensure that we've got that revenue stream. The contact center is it's the hub for where we engage with our customers, essentially, when either they've got a problem, or we've got telephone orders coming through, or anything like that, or if we're dealing with returns and that side of things. Something which you'll see in the bottom picture there, where on the pillars there are those LogicMonitor screens. So that's the call queuing ticket numbering system as well. So at any given time, the call center can see how many people are in the queue, how many people, how long they've been waiting, how many returns we've got coming in, how many orders we've got to process, how many questions we've got, and how many over the phone orders we've got coming through that dashboard system. So it's enabling that team to be more efficient and a little bit more coordinated in where we're focusing people in the various contact centers. And it's very easy to focus on one area rather than understanding that the customers may have different challenges. And this is for us to highlight that and make sure that we're delivering the best service we can. And finally is the kind of critical thing for a retailer, especially at the moment as we're coming out of lockdown or pretty much everywhere. All of our tills are obviously digital tills, and they are all plugged into LogicMonitor. So you'll see a little snapshot of North Europe there. That's got our server and till locations highlighted on it. That maps out, you'll see that for the benefit of this, we power cycled one of the tills when the store wasn't trading, and you'll see there's a bite mark next to it, and that allows us to have a geographical footprint of any stores with any issues at any given time. And that allows my service and support teams and also our third-party retail support partners to have a visual representation of the region they're responsible for, and to be able to proactively go and fix a problem without having to wait for the store to phone us up and tell us there's a problem. So that proactive approach to support is critical for maintaining good customer engagement and increasing revenue streams.
And I guess that's a really important factor here, Simon, as well. You know, we're moving away from a traditional on-premise monitoring in a lot of cases, and we're starting to be more strategic and proactive with all of the data and metrics that you guys are able to get out of the system now.
Yeah, so monitoring of old, in my opinion, was very much effective. Now you need to be proactive with it, and in my personal opinion is, if one of our internal customers, so a store manager or someone like that, flags up that there's a problem to us and it has to go through a ticket and an escalation system, then we're not monitoring that service accordingly. We need to improve the monitoring on that. And this is a journey. We're working our way through that. But there are some very proven metrics within the business where the right monitoring is reducing incidents, tickets, and we're getting it down to very single-digit numbers per month, whereas 4 or 5 years ago we were easily in double digits, if not higher.
Yeah, I think that's really a testament to that when we start moving into that kind of proactive and strategic monitoring way and moving away from reactiveness.
Yeah,
doing some powerful stuff with all of the data and metrics we're able to collect there. Brilliant. So moving on, I guess you know, the next point is, how has Ted Baker really adapted their own business operations and IT over this last year? You know, it's been a very I think turbulent year for everyone. A lot of and most of us moving into home offices, retail stores being closed, a lot of business moving online. But maybe you could give our listeners a little bit insight of how Ted Baker has adapted over that time period.
Yeah, sure. So as you say, we had to switch from what wasn't a common practice of working from home at Ted Baker. We were very much an office-based organisation. And very quickly we switched over to remote working function, and we are still operating in that function now since March of 2020. The biggest challenge we had as a business from that was the educating the teams to get them to a position where they were comfortable working remotely. And now that's kind of become the norm, and it's redesigning the tools that we're using, or that we would normally use in the office, to more fit what people have been using for the past 18 months, because we've had to get more into the technology and get people more educated. But that benefit is going to come in people are more flexible in how they work and where they work, which is great. We were, from an IT ops perspective, we were quite fortunate. We were actually in a process to switch everybody over from desktops to laptops, which we'd completed by the time the pandemic occurred. And we already had very strong built tools in terms of VPN access, Citrix enabled applications and that side of things. So that we were in a fortunate position where we didn't have to re-engineer this. We basically had to turn the dials up to 11 to be able to accommodate the volume.
Yeah, a natural progression of the way that IT was moving, and it's just been accelerated at a far more rapid speed now.
Very much so, very much so. It was we were looking at having a very flexible solution probably by the end of 2022. We achieved that within a fortnight of the pandemic really taking hold and us having to start winding down our retail. And you'll see on the slides in terms of monitoring and what we use monitoring to support us with on that.
So let's delve a little bit more into how you've actually utilized monitoring in terms of adapting those business operations to working from home there now. I mean, I think you kind of just hit the nail on the head there. You know, you guys were aiming for 2022 and you managed to turn that around in 2 weeks. And I think you've probably fared better than a lot. Well,
yeah, it's been a very fortunate turn of events from a technology point of view. We were equipping ourselves for a potential change in how we would work as an organization anyway. And it just happened that we only needed to accelerate where we were. So we were very fortunate, and because the senior leaders in the business have been quite forward thinking ahead of that, we were able to adapt to it, which had this issue occurred a year prior, we'd have been in a very different situation. It would have been a much more painful journey. But what we utilized LogicMonitor for, particularly in this instance, was the initial spike of, I think you can see it on that graph on the top left there. You can see that initial spike of users and remote working, how that's going and the volume that we're seeing. That was far above the norm. So we were monitoring that very, very closely in the first couple of weeks to make sure that we spec'd up our infrastructure to be able to support and maintain it without people dropping off connections and without systems falling over, essentially, so that we could keep the business as operational as possible. And yeah, and when you're looking at this with it, we had to change some of the ways which we work. So again, as a company that owns everything end to end, we have our own photo studios, we have our own models, we do it all ourselves. So we had to essentially redesign our photo studio, which is inherently a physical space where people go and take pictures and they develop and edit those. And we had to re-engineer that solution so that it could be done remotely. And the photographers, bless them, they came up with some ingenious solutions to get those shots and work it out and get it all working with the models. But then we had the challenge of we're moving and editing very, very high quality images, which need to be, worked on by multiple different people. So again, this was a critical system where we had to see any aged issues, any files which hadn't been touched for any particular time, and we needed to have that automated so that we can move them out of the way to keep the studio's environment very, very clean and very, very slick for them, just because of the volume and the number of hits that they're doing. And as you can see, so this is what retail looked like over the previous 12 months, and you can see the lockdowns, the different colours, different countries and different regions, and you can see where lockdowns impacted that revenue. And we basically had the joys of having to manage shutting, mothballing stores as regional lockdowns occurred or national lockdowns occurred, and then spinning back up those services. And it was critical for us to keep an eye on those services in particular. As many on the call will probably be aware, if you basically don't touch a site for 2 or 3 months, if not longer, spinning everything back up and expecting it to work without any issue is very optimistic and a little bit naive in most instances. We went into that expecting problems. We were able to catch them. So we did some dry runs on reopening. So we would spin up all the systems a couple of weeks before the scheduled end of the lockdowns, monitor the systems, run some test transactions and make sure that the systems were all healthy before the retail teams came back into store.
Well, hopefully we'll see those graphs just going up and up now the more we open up as we go forwards.
Yeah, and very much so. And the flip side of that is obviously what happened with e-commerce. So these are like a sample of order volumes from right around when the pandemic kicked in last year. And you can see just the volume of orders that switched from retail to e-commerce virtually overnight. And it's quite telling that when the e-commerce platforms hit with that much more business, when there's that many more users and that many more transactions processing through, and it's not just, this graph is indicative of not just impact on the e-commerce solution. We see graphs like this, and in my mind, you look at it and go, okay, so how are our interfaces handling? How's the ERP handling? How's our WMS handling? How's customer services handling? This allows us to see how many orders we're processing specifically, but it also gives an indication of this looks fantastic from a business point of view, but from a technical point of view, we need to make sure all those back-end systems can handle that extra volume.
Yeah, and I think it's only a trend we're going to see keep happening now over the next, probably over the next year or two still, in that, you know, we can see at the left-hand side, obviously the e-commerce being on a lot lower level, but even now that we're in the UK fully open in retail again, we're still seeing a lot of people making the choice to make their purchases via e-commerce as well.
Hugely so. Far more of the cornerstone for retail trade, particularly in the UK.
Totally agree. So let's take a little look at what's next, Simon. So how's Ted Baker and your team preparing to, I guess everyone likes to say that return to normal, the new normal. I try to
the new normal, isn't it?
But yeah, what are you and your team doing to prepare for that?
Well, we're continuously waiting for the governments to tell us what we're allowed to do for a start. And when we're with that kind of moving global landscape, we're trying to keep tabs on the relevant legislation. We need to prioritize key revenue generating sites, okay, same as any business, and we need to understand what our neighbors are doing. So if you've got a particular site where half the stores are being shut indefinitely, that's probably not the best place to open up a site, reopen our store first. We need to do that with some intelligence and understand it. As I said before, the challenge that we get is restarting unused kits that was turned off for months. When we've got trying to get hardware and get equipment back out to our sites when you can't ship internationally, and on top of that, we've also got the challenges of Brexit and other bits and pieces which hamper our international support effort. Which all of that is now dashboarded within LogicMonitor, so we can see on the left there, you can see where we have tills where we've had any issues bringing them back up. That was at a particular site where we had some real challenges and local power issues, and because of the pandemic, it took them a very long time to get any engineers out to be able to fix it. So it was a way that we could dashboard that, stick it in front of our retail ops team, and let them know, see the screens automatically change, and they're not waiting on us sending them a communication that they're back up and rolling. As we say, we've got to adapt to the new normal. I'm going to be honest, it's an ever-changing landscape, and I think that's going to be the case for the majority of time. We're going to be more cloud, we're going to be more SaaS, we're going to have to monitor everything top to bottom, and we're going to have to be proactively monitoring and aggressively proactively monitoring to complement what we're doing. So with Data Lake, Enterprise BI, we're moving into some big data metrics with the business and what we're doing with our customers. All of that needs to be very, very closely maintained and monitored.
Yeah, and I think it's a real testament to, I guess, our partnership as well with you as a customer, rather than just utilizing a product or platform, in that we also continue to evolve with our customers as well. So we keep adding more and more functionality, like you're saying, with logs, Unomaly, Airbrake recently as well, moving into kind of the APM space as well. So the solution just continues to grow with you as well as a customer.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate in we've got a really good support team, yourself and a few other guys at LogicMonitor, and I've got looking after monitoring, and we've got this kind of group of very like-minded people who are very keen and enthusiastic to see the service develop and improve. And I've been with Ted Baker now for 4 years, just over 4 years, and in that time I've seen LogicMonitor develop from essentially a VM monitoring tool to it covers business metrics, financial metrics, shipping logistics metrics, global mapping systems, does brag status updates. We cover retail customer. This tool has spread very, very wide across the business, and it continues to do so because it's doing the job we're asking of it.
Brilliant. It's amazing to see in here. Well, look, I think that takes us to the end of our presentation as well. So Simon, a massive thank you from myself as well for taking the time to give everyone an insight into your world with LogicMonitor today as well. Everyone else who is at the event today, myself and my colleagues will be at the virtual stand. So if you do have any questions, feel free to approach us, have a conversation, and we're happy to help.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Simon. It was really a great presentation, and I really enjoyed the format of your conversation that made it actively and was easy to listen to it, and was really great to see, Simon, how you, how you evolution of your monitoring system. I think that was really amazing, and obviously LogicMonitor was the right partner for you. I mean, let's use the time and ask Simon a few questions. You do have the chance to ask questions. I haven't received now any, but maybe I can only encourage you to ask questions. Let's take the time and get some questions answered. Anything? No? All right then. So Jared said he's around, and Simon, if you would like to log into the platform and have a walk around, maybe you are invited to open a coffee talk, and maybe maybe the people will take the chance and meet you in person. I can encourage, take the opportunities presented by our platform and to contact with each other. Well, thanks, Simon, again, and thanks, Jared.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.